Hi, this is Andy of Andy's Personal Development, and we are currently live in the breakout room. So, welcome, and we love being here for you with quality and value to inspire and to transform. Remember, we are on Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, and iTunes. Today, as usual, we have a special guest to share with you for your development and growth and to live your better informed life. So, grab a cup, pull up a seat, and stay tuned for the introduction. Right here, now, live in the breakout room. It's the place for health, happiness, and prosperity. Stay tuned. Our next guest is an inspirational keynote speaker and sought after expert on women's leadership, mindfulness, stress management, and sustainable success. Her work has appeared in Forbes, Fast Company, Huffington Post, and Glamour magazine, among others. She is Vanessa Loder. The publications: Soul Planner, the series, and her latest, The Soul Solution. So, whether she's hanging out with family or doing her talk at Google or empowering the masses in the continent, let's welcome this inspired guest, Vanessa Loder, live in the breakout. Okay, so we are live and Vanessa is with us in the breakout room. And welcome to Vanessa. Vanessa, thanks so much for having you today with us, taking the time out just to be with us on Andy's Personal Development as we seek to help people to be empowered and to give them the opportunity to live with health, happiness, and prosperity. So we know that you're in good spirits today, and we thank you for that as well. You're going to lend some positive energy to the show. So, Vanessa, let's start by asking you one of the most key questions.
Okay.
You are a family kind of person. You seem to be family oriented, and that's wonderful. Tell us about some of your early childhood experiences, if you can remember. Which one stands out the most for you and will always be one that you would go back to when you think about your childhood days? Could you just share with us, please?
From my own
Hmm.
childhood, I
Yeah.
would say the one that stands out right now when you ask me is something my sister brought up when she gave a speech at our wedding, which was when I was really little, starting around, 4, 5, 6 years old. My
Hmm.
favorite expression was, "You're not the boss of me." And I would say that all the time to my mom, to her own
Yeah.
chagrin. But when I peel back the layers of the journey I've been on since then, I think what that was really about was I, even at a young age, was in touch with my own inner truth and felt
Hmm.
anger when the world was trying to tell me who to be or how to act. And there was a
Right.
real kind of a rebelliousness within me that I didn't know how to channel into a more productive way at that age, but
Okay.
that has really been part of my resilience in life, I think.
Ah, wonderful. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
And so you would have at some point in time realized that you were cut out for something specific. I want you to share with us, if you can remember, that epiphany moment when the light bulbs would have gone off in your head and you say, you know what? This is what Vanessa is meant to do. Can you remember that?
That's such a great question. And for me, Andy, I was someone who followed all the rules. I was a good student, a good athlete. I, was dotting all my I's and crossing my T's. And
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
graduated from a top school, took a very
Hmm.
intense job doing investment banking on Wall Street, and
Okay.
then went to Stanford to get my MBA, kind of climbed to the top of the ladder. And
Yeah.
I got to this point in my career where I was very successful on the outside. And yet
Mm-hmm.
inside, I really felt like something deeper was missing in my life.
Ah.
Plus, I would lie in bed at night with my mind racing, thinking of all the things I hadn't done that day and all the things I still needed to get done. And
Mm-hmm.
so for me, my light bulb moment was when I had this realization of this is success. Like I've been striving to get to this place my whole life. And I thought once I had a certain level of success, the happiness, the joy, the meaning, the fulfillment would all come. And they didn't. And so originally, the light bulb moment was a bit of a painful moment of, oh my gosh, I've climbed to the top of the ladder and maybe it's the
Mm-hmm.
wrong ladder. And then, so there was that light bulb moment, which was painful. But then I had another light bulb moment of kind of stepping more into my purpose. And in that one, I actually was on the phone with someone named Ainsley McLeod, who's a reluctant psychic. Who's been on Oprah and the Ellen Show, and he wrote a lot of books about past lives and the soul. And I
Yeah.
still remember I was working in my prestigious job as a private equity investor in my corner
Mm-hmm.
office with my like headset on
Yeah.
the phone with a reluctant psychic.
Okay.
And he turned to me and said, you know, your soul type is something called a spiritualist, which means
Mm-hmm.
you're a deeply spiritual person. And he said, you're never going to be satisfied in finance.
Okay.
And it was like something landed within me hearing that reflection back from I was feeling the truth of that already, but to hear someone else say those words, it sort of freed me from this life of constraint and beliefs about who I should be. And it
Mm-hmm.
was a real defining moment of, oh my gosh, you know, maybe I'm more than I thought I was.
Right. Right. Great. Thanks for sharing, Vanessa. How
Yeah.
was it for you in corporate America in terms of the lessons that you would have learned and then taken it into your personal um, life in terms of the switch that you had made when you found that different or that second light bulb? How was the experience before in terms of what you would have learned while going through corporate America?
Yes. So, you know, corporate America, for me, in some ways, I could fit
Hmm.
right into it because it was a work hard, play hard mentality.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some aspects of, I've always was a tomboy growing up and was very comfortable in male dominated
Yeah.
environments and wanted
Yeah.
to prove myself and show that
Yep.
I could be one of the boys.
Okay.
So in some ways I thrived, but then that came at a cost. And the cost was my authenticity and my feminine power, where
Uh-huh.
I kind of became so overly masculine. When I was in corporate America, I would wear these like boxy blazer suits and
Hmm.
curse like a sailor and really kind of overplayed those sides of myself
Okay.
and really lost touch, I think, a little bit with my authenticity. So
Mm.
it's helped me since then realize that I want to live and work in a very different way, which is,
Okay.
and the question I've been trying to answer for myself and for
Hmm.
my clients for the last 10 years is how can we be really ambitious in life and have big, bold dreams and goals and visions and things we want to accomplish,
Right.
but do them in a more joyful and sustainable way rather than
Yeah.
this like crush it, you know, burn yourself out kind of mentality that corporate
Hmm.
America has really been preaching for a long time.
Yeah. 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 That's instructional. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
I'm going to focus on some of the stuff that I've seen on your bio and your profile. And we're going to look to the female side, or I should say the feminine side, which songs a much more pleasant term. Uh, Here's a question. Can women really have it all? I know that's your forte, but how do you ascribe to that? And then what do you tell them when they ask that question? Can
Yeah.
women really have it all?
So my personal opinion on that question is the question itself is flawed and is an
Uh-huh.
offshoot of patriarchy because
Right.
we are not asking if men can have it all.
Mm.
And why are we not asking the question of men? Personally, I think it's because implicit in the question, can women have it all, is the implicit belief that women should do it all for
Right.
everyone else all the time.
Okay. Okay.
And so sometimes when we ask, can women have it all? We're
Mm.
putting pressure on women to meet
Yeah.
multiple ideals of perfection. You need to look
Okay.
good and be beautiful. You need to succeed at work and be ambitious and driven and thoughtful. And you need to be a good parent and you need to be a good partner. And that's unrealistic and is causing a feeling of kind of insanity and overwhelm and burnout that's, increasing at astounding rates in women today.
Mm,
So I
mm.
think the question is flawed, but I also, on the other hand, I do think we can have it all when we redefine what all is. It's like we need to reclaim all for
Uh-huh.
ourselves and
Right.
decide, what does all mean to me based on my personal values and beliefs and intentions and aligned with my soul. What is my all? And when you really come back to your inner authority, your inner knowing, and your values, and get clear on that, then you can have all of that. It's just these prescribed roles and ideals that we don't want to have all of,
Mm-hmm.
and we can't ever really do all of that.
Right. Very good. Thanks for sharing. Vanessa, you mentioned a lot in your writing energetic breadcrumbs. What
Yes.
is that all about, and why is it important for women to recognize that they can have energetic breadcrumbs?
Yeah. And this is something that's women, men, non binary. This is for everyone.
Right.
What I learned in my own journey when I left my corporate job in finance to create work I
Mm-hmm.
loved, and I felt really lost and confused, and I really wanted clarity. I,
Yeah.
I knew I was meant for more, but I didn't know what that more was.
Mm-hmm.
What I have found time and time and again in my own life and that of the thousands of clients I've supported is that if you want to live your greatest purpose and you want to feel empowered and you want to feel aligned with your what I would call your soul, your higher
Yeah.
self,
Yeah.
it's not, you don't know 10 steps ahead. It's not rational or logical or linear. It's a non-linear, non-rational, non-strategic process of emergence and unfolding. And
Yeah.
so that can be really scary and hard to trust, because if
Mm-hmm.
you don't know step number 9, you only get the next step and the next and the next.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
way that I've distilled that down, that seems to be really easy for people to grab onto, is with a concept called energetic breadcrumbs, which is
Mm-hmm.
that you follow your energetic breadcrumbs. And those are the moments when you feel the most energized and alive.
Ah. All
And
right.
it could be, you get an energetic breadcrumb to sign up for a certain class online, or to
Mm-hmm.
reach out to a person randomly. It makes no strategic sense, but there's just
Right.
something in you that
Yeah.
bubbles up when you think about that person. Well, that's an
Right.
energetic breadcrumb. So
Oh,
just,
okay.
you start to pay attention to the moments when you feel energized and alive, and you follow those nudges and those breadcrumbs. And then that leads you to your next and your next and your next. And that's really how you create the life of your dreams.
Yeah, sounds good. So, what would you say to folks? I'm not going to use any specific gender term. What would you
Yeah.
say to folks who need to recognize that moment and at least take note of it? Write it down, put it in your
Yes.
diary, put it on your phone, put it in your notes section or something so that you can refer back to it or remember it at some point in time and it would give you that inspiration you seek. How do they stay so alive and connected in the moment that they
Mhm.
actually gain from that experience and recognize, hey, you know what? This is the moment. This is an energetic breadcrumb. How do they
Yep.
do that?
Yeah, great question. I would recommend bookending your day with an intention focused on it in the morning and journaling in the evening. So what you
Right.
do is, in the morning when you wake up, you set the intention. Okay, universe, or whoever you talk to,
Mm-hmm.
today I want to really notice my energetic breadcrumbs. Help me to really notice my energetic breadcrumbs today. Send me some energetic breadcrumbs today. Whatever
Right.
I open myself up to noticing and receiving energetic breadcrumbs today. I mean, you can say whatever you want, but you set an
Okay.
intention in the morning that you're going to be
Mm-hmm.
thoughtful about this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the evening, you journal. And what I recommend for my clients is something called an energy and flow audit. So
Yeah.
every night, you just spend like 5 minutes reflecting back on your day. When did I have the most energy today? What was I doing
Mm.
during that time? Who was I with?
Yes.
What kind of
Yeah.
conversation was I having? What were the circumstances? What was the ecology around me when I was having that high energy experience? And then
Mm-hmm.
also, when was I in a state of flow today? When time went by really quickly, when I was had more energy at the end of something than I did at the beginning, and I just felt like I'm in the right place at the right time. And
Right.
in the beginning, you might go, I don't know if I was in flow at all today, and that's okay. Just be
Right.
kind to yourself and patient, and keep setting the intention, and you'll notice, you'll start to get little moments of, oh yeah, I did have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And then you notice, okay, that conversation, was it the person who really helped me get the energetic breadcrumb? Was it the topic? What
Mm-hmm.
was it about that
Yeah. Yeah.
exchange that
Yeah.
gave me the energetic breadcrumb? Was it the
Hmm.
content of the topic? Was it the person? You know what I mean? Like, was it,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
some other thing that they mentioned this book and I've been excited about that book. So that's the thing that got me energized. So you're kind of peeling back the layers of yourself to notice what energizes you, what makes you feel alive. Also, what piques your curiosity.
Mm.
It's sort of like your little spidey sense goes up, or you just get a
Right.
little, like a little inner, oh, I want to know more about that. That's an energetic breadcrumb.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing, Vanessa. I get that you are kind of guiding people to be more introspective,
Mhm.
to ask questions, to be really curious, and to really look at, what is happening from a holistic perspective. Does that have anything to do with your writings? Is there a connection between that philosophy and your writings?
Yes.
Hmm.
So I have a new book coming out this
Right.
fall. It's available for pre-order now. It's called The Soul Solution, SOUL. And the reason I wrote it is it really is a roadmap to help people come back home to themselves, to
Yeah.
understand how to listen to the whispers of your soul, how to follow your energetic breadcrumbs, and
Hmm.
really how to trust yourself to
Yeah.
create a life that you love. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's what my writing is all about.
Wow. And that's wonderful. I mean, it's encouraging. But people who are struggling with soul searching in
Yeah.
terms of how they get through their days, there are so many things, limiting beliefs, doubt, fears, insecurities.
Mhm.
How do they overcome these, Vanessa, and really take note of what is happening? Really listen to what the soul is really saying. How do they
Yeah.
overcome those struggles?
Well, there is a whole chapter on the book that's on limiting
Uh huh.
beliefs and fears, but to break it down for people
Yeah.
today, let me get, because I love giving people, an actionable tool you can use right
Yeah.
away.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorites is called Source Your Beliefs. This is all in the book, but what you
Yeah.
do is you'll pick an area of your life that you're really wanting to shift or where you think you might have some limiting beliefs. Let's say it's career. And
Mm-hmm.
you're going to write down some of the beliefs that you have, like no pain, no gain. You
Yeah.
have to suffer to get success. So that
Mm-hmm.
might be a couple of beliefs around work.
Yeah.
And then what you're going to do is you're going to source those beliefs. So you're going to have a blank piece of paper and you're going to write down what my mom says about careers, what my
Okay.
dad says about careers,
Uh
what
huh.
society says about careers. Or sometimes I like to do it for a working woman or being a working mother. What did my mom say about that? What did my dad say about that? What does our culture say about that? You might choose an influential person in your life. Maybe there was a teacher or somebody who really influenced you. What did they say about that? And you
Mm-hmm.
just write it all down. And then once you have it on a piece of paper, it can be really stark. You might go, oh my gosh, I had no idea I was running all these beliefs. And then you're
Right.
just going to pause and ask yourself, is this something that I want to choose to believe going forward?
Mm.
And if not, what would I like to believe instead? And then I
Yeah.
have a whole other process to reprogram your beliefs that's laid out in the book to help you really start to create new beliefs and wire those into your neurology. The
Yeah.
great thing is, like, we really can change our reality. And I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm living proof of that. I live a radically different life than the track that I was on. And
Okay.
it really does come down to, being more intentional about what you want and believing that you can do it, you can create it.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thanks, Vanessa. Now, in terms of corporate women and their careers,
Mhm.
how do you advise people to bridge the gap or draw the line, I should say, between your personal life, your social life, commitment to your family, friends, and at the same time be so dynamic in the corporate world that you create this balance
Yeah.
and one does not affect the other. There's no overrun, so to speak. How do
Well, and
they how can they do that? How can they
one is
accomplish that?
always going to affect the other. I think we've tried to siphon them off, but we're
Uh-huh.
integrated people. I mean, we're not going to, I think we really need a lot of leaders, women and men, to
Uh-huh.
change corporate culture so that it doesn't have to. I've heard, some women executives I support at Uber, for example, lied about being pregnant or hid photos of
Uh-huh.
their kids because
Wow.
they didn't think like they could show that they were a mom and be taken
Mm-hmm.
seriously at work. So that's
Mm-hmm.
a problem. So I think, first of all, it's very important to acknowledge that there are major systemic issues at play.
Yeah.
There's There's public policy and corporate policy, all kinds of things that don't support working parents, that don't support working women. So that if you feel exhausted and overwhelmed, like, first of all, it's not your fault. Don't,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
a lot of the supposed self-help books can kind of put the onus of all this back on the shoulders of women or of minorities or of whatever group we're talking about that's disenfranchised or that's been treated,
Yeah.
unfairly.
Right.
It's important to name and acknowledge that, and then to decide, okay, I'm not gonna play by those rules. I'm gonna set my own rules. I'm gonna make my own game. And it, again, I think this is why it comes back to having a really clear connection with your inner self and your inner authority. So you can then take that out into the world. And it can be really small things, especially if you're in a corporate setting. These might be little micro changes you make. It doesn't have to be you up and quitting your job. But an easy way to start is to get clear on your core values. And then to just ask yourself, how can I live more in alignment with my values today? And you might choose to leave work early one day a week to be able to coach your kids' soccer team. And that's a small micro change, but it's the thing. It's sort of that 80-20 rule people talk about in corporate America. Like, what are the little levers you can switch that are going to give you a lot more alignment with your values? Where do you feel the most out of whack right now? And then what needs to shift to adjust for that? And then there's a lot, I could talk for hours about this question. There's a lot around like setting boundaries and saying no. And, I put my phone up high from 5 to 8 p.m. every night so that I'm not on my phone when I'm with my kids. Right? There's small things like that you can do. One of my other favorite tools, it comes from Abraham Hicks, which is one of the spiritual teachers I follow. And they do something called segment intending, which is you're transitioning from one segment of your day to the next, an intention for how you want the next segment to go.
Okay.
So when I'm walking down the hallway at the end of the workday, I always set an intention of, okay, I'm going to show up in loving presence for my children. I'm going to be in I want playfulness. I want joy. I want heart-centered connection and presence. That's my intention for the next 2 hours when I'm with my kids. And when I do that, I am more present and I am more playful and loving with them. So and before I make a very important work call, I might set the intention of, okay, I'm going to have clear communication with this person. We're going to be productive and efficient. We're going to, make decisions with ease and And then you end up getting results so much easier, and you don't have to struggle and strive so much.
Wow. Yeah, I'm so glad that you were able to simplify it and you sound as if you're coming from a place of conviction. That's really important. So thanks for sharing, Vanessa. We're about halfway on the show. This is Andy of Andy's Personal Development with Vanessa Loder, live in the breakout room. We'll go for a quick commercial break and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, folks. Stand by. FindRadioGuest.com, the place to click to find guests to interview for free. And if you're a radio show booker, podcaster, talk show host, or television producer, then this is the place to get podcasts and radio interviews or promote your books and products as a guest expert sponsor. FindRadioGuest.com. Check it out.
Hello everyone, it's Vanessa Loder. I'm on a run here on the beautiful island of Maui. And today the 15-day meditation challenge starts. Woohoo! So I wanted to do a quick Facebook Live because I was on the run and I thought, hey Dad, I see you're here watching. I was just on a run in Hawaii thinking about how when we go on vacation, my husband and I joke about how it takes like 2 days for us to get into vacation mindset. So the trip doesn't really start till we're really 2 days in and totally relaxed. And the reason I wanted to do a Facebook post, not only to show you the ocean alive, is to tell you that what I have found is meditation is one of the best ways to get into that vacation mindset without having to go to Hawaii. So it really can help you quiet your mind and feel relaxed and like you have nothing to do just for that short little while that you're meditating. So join the 15-day meditation challenge. It starts today. If you go to vanessaloder.com/15/day, so 15-day, you can join our meditation challenge and you'll get a free guided meditation every day for 15 days, plus a fireside chat, which will be a lecture on different topics that we surveyed the community about, and you guys wanted to learn about how to stop the worry cycle and how to overcome self-doubt, how to let go of fear and feel more confident. So you'll get a fireside chat and a 10-minute guided meditation every day for 15 days. And you can feel, just for that little while, like you're here in Hawaii on vacation.
Okay, great. I love that. And coming out of that, Vanessa, here's the question. How effective and efficient is that level of meditation you're speaking about in helping with those limiting beliefs, the self doubt, the fear, the frustration, and maybe even possible burnout?
Mm.
And what kind of meditation are you specifically referring to?
Yeah. Well, I like to joke that my meditation, I have two different ones on the website. There's a 30
Uh-huh.
day, which is just 5 minutes a day, and a 15-day, which has longer meditations, like 10 or
Right.
15 minutes. But I like to joke that the meditation challenge is like a gateway drug to inner peace. So it's,
Mm.
to be
A
honest, when I
dopamine, a
first,
dopamine shooter,
excuse me?
a dopamine shooter.
Yes, a dopamine shooter. There you go. I have to be honest, when I first created the meditation challenge and it was
Uh-huh.
just 5 minutes a day, I was a little nervous. Like, is 5 minutes going to do it enough for people? Because I know
Yeah.
not everyone's going to go on a 10-day silent meditation retreat like I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
are busy, they don't have a lot of time, but is it really going to work?
Yeah.
And I was amazed at to be inundated with emails from people, everything from I'm a lawyer who never quiets my mind to I'm a mom with two small kids and I put them in front of a cartoon for 5 minutes and I can't believe how much of my sanity I've recovered just from 5 minutes a day.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it really does make a difference. If you're not meditating at all, it's a great way to start because it's a
Hmm.
very short time commitment. And what I do is I do a different type of guided meditation topic every day.
Yeah.
So every day is different. One day might be how to lower stress and anxiety. Another might be how to expand in joy, how to focus your mind more. So it's great because it's like a poo-poo platter of meditation. You get to try all these different ones and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
see what you like.
Yeah. Vanessa, we are in a bit of a post COVID kind of period.
Mhm.
And we are also looking at the economy. I mean, this is like a worldwide concern.
Mhm.
Social status for some people is something that they dread. Tomorrow looks like some people, it's not going to happen for them. And if it does happen, they're not sure. How do you encourage folks to think positive about circumstances despite how gloomy they might look? And I mean, in terms of your clientele and the people that you deal with, what would
Yeah.
you say would be the most common form of challenge that people are facing right now and they just need to find a way to cope?
Mm, that's a good question. Well, let me address the first one first.
Right.
Um, so people, yeah, I would say, you know, I, I've been through my own highs and lows during COVID
Hmm.
and recently, and have felt incredibly depressed and down. And my
Yeah.
mom
Yeah.
passed away, so I've been in the dark places, and I
Right.
have so much empathy. So first of all, if you're in a dark place right now, I just want you to know I love you. I'm sending you
Hmm.
love and light.
Yeah.
You're just a little bunny doing your best. That's my favorite quick self-compassion phrase to
Yes.
say to yourself. I'm just a
Right.
little
Right.
bunny doing my best. But I'm sending you light if you're in that dark place. And when you are there, when you're really low and you're feeling like nothing's going to work out, it can
Hmm.
be too much of a reach to try to go really positive.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is you just want to get incrementally feeling a little bit better. You want one thought that's a little
Hmm.
bit better than the thoughts you've been thinking.
Right.
You want to just go on a little walk, call one friend, do the one little thing to just nudge yourself up a little bit and to get your
Hmm.
momentum going in the other direction. Because what
Yeah.
can happen is we get in these really intense downward spirals and then we get momentum going in a direction that feels terrible, and it can
Mm.
feel hard to get out of that.
Yeah.
And I remember, I'll just share one short story. When I was really going through a really tough time with depression and postpartum after my first child was born, I remember talking to my dad, and he had struggled with depression a lot.
Yeah.
And actually, it was my sister who also struggled with depression.
Okay.
Actually, both of
Okay.
them. My dad said, just go on a walk, and I did, and that really helped. And my
Mm-hmm.
sister said, well, if you want to lie in bed all day, do it. What's wrong? What if you
Mm-hmm.
just did that?
Yeah.
And so I lay in bed for a couple hours, and then I thought, I got to this point where I started to get hungry, and I thought, what do really depressed people do when they get hungry? I don't even want to get out
Yeah.
of bed. And I had this visual of ordering pizza, but asking the person to come all the way inside my house and bring it to my bed.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
And I
whoa.
just started laughing. And
Mm-hmm.
the laughter and the joy, that pulled me out of the depression.
Okay.
And so sometimes I have found, and I again, like, seek a qualified therapist if you're really in it, but I have found that sometimes surrendering to my difficult, painful feelings, or my exhaustion, or my depression, like
Mm-hmm.
giving myself permission to just succumb to it,
Yeah.
that actually got me like through it faster,
Mm.
rather than resisting it and fighting it
Yeah.
and making
Yeah.
myself wrong for having
Right.
all these difficult feelings.
Okay. Okay.
So making
Great.
space for all your feelings would be my
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
suggestion.
Wow. Wonderful. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing, Vanessa.
Mhm.
I get a sense that family is a strong thing for you in terms of your commitment. You speak about your mom passing, our sympathies there for you, your sister struggling, your dad struggling. What are some of the things that you have dealt with personally in your family life that have sprung alive in you and had added value to your life, and has given you some valuable lessons that you could tell people about their families and, well, and how they can deal with some of these struggles as well?
Yeah. Well, I'm a big proponent of, um, believing that our childhood, not just our childhood, but our ancestors really
Hmm.
impact us today. And there's a lot of science now. Rachel Yehuda has done a lot of research on PTSD and epigenetics, and how trauma can be passed down through the generations.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I've done a fair amount of healing work in something called systemic and family constellations. It
Okay.
was created by this man, Bert Hellinger, and you can
Hmm.
look that up online. But that has been a healing modality that has really helped me when it comes
Hmm.
to family and generational patterns. I highly
Yeah.
recommend it. There's a recent podcast actually with Tammy Simon on Insights on the Edge, with a new guest who has a book all about constellations. I can try to put it in your show notes.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's been a modality that's really helped me. And then I would also say, I mean, children are such a forcing mechanism for looking at our stuff.
Ah,
I
yeah, yeah, yeah.
babies are like truth barometers. Like, a lot of
Hmm.
working women I have found who weren't satisfied with their careers, when they
Yeah.
have a child, it really, like, the rubber meets the road, partly
Right.
because they get so much love and joy from this baby that if you're not liking your work, it doesn't feel
Hmm.
worth it to leave the
Yeah.
kid off. And that's a beautiful thing, because it helps you evolve and learn and grow. And
Yeah.
then the last thing I'll say is that in the last couple of years, my husband and I we went through a really, really big rough patch. And I think
Hmm.
that's not unusual during COVID and being in quarantine together.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I, I learned a lot about what I would call like my shadow
Hmm.
feminine rage. I had a
Hmm.
lot of rage at the masculine, and our couples therapist joked it was like I was projecting the patriarchy onto my husband. Like,
Wow.
um, but like, if he came home from work and I was making dinner and dealing with the kids, and he like cracked open a beer before
Mm.
coming to help me, I would like look at him with like the rage of me.
Ah,
I was like,
wow, wow, wow. He's in trouble.
yeah, yeah. And it's interesting because it's multi-layered. On the one
Hmm.
hand, there were real inequities in our marriage that we needed to fix. Things
Right.
like I did need him to help more on the home front,
Okay.
but
Okay.
my anger and rage was not making him want to do that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah.
So I think there's a lot of richness there as well to work for women,
Mm.
to work through. I think women have a lot of anger, and
Mm.
it's understandable, but when we project it outward, it doesn't actually help our situation or get us what we want.
Yeah. Anger management. Wow.
Anger management for women, yeah.
Yeah, look, here's the thing. I'm looking at your information here, and I find this term fascinating. It's neural neuro-linguistic programming. Tell me a little
Yes.
bit about that.
That is one of the healing modalities that I'm trained in. And I trained with
Ah,
someone named Carl Buchheit at NLP Marin. One of my colleagues, she describes it as it's like getting the remote control to your brain. So
mm-hmm,
neurolinguistic programming is a very effective tool to create massive change in yourself. Talk
right.
about deprogramming limiting beliefs. I mean, it has it all. And it's
Mm-hmm,
based on the premise that our brain, we have multiple brains. We have our reptilian brain, we have our mammalian brain, we have our prefrontal cortex.
mm-hmm,
So we have
yes.
this really old brain, and then we have the newer brains. And it's kind of like the way Carl describes it, a computer with legacy software, and then it gets
Mm-hmm,
new software layered on top, and they don't really work well together.
yeah,
So when you hear someone say, for example, I want to lose weight, but then they're not eating well and they're not exercising, sort of like, why would we say we want one thing and then our behavior is the opposite? It's
yeah,
because our brains are not really working well together.
right.
The older reptilian brain has its own patterning and conditioning and criteria for what it thinks is successful, and those
Mm-hmm,
can be in complete opposition to your prefrontal cortex.
right.
So another example I would give is, the way the reptilian brain works is, let's say someone was verbally abused as a child and they
Mm-hmm,
survived, they lived and became an adult. The
yeah,
reptilian brain, it only thinks about survival. Did you
right.
survive? Yes or no? And if you did, it considers that a success. And
Okay.
then what it does is it fuses verbal abuse with survival. And it thinks, oh, in order to survive, I need to be verbally
Neat.
abused. And
Yeah.
so that's why
Wow. I
people who
get it.
have these experiences in childhood might
Yeah.
then choose a boss or a colleague at work or a romantic partner who
Yeah.
verbally abuses them, because their reptilian brain actually thinks they need that to survive.
Mm.
Whereas their
Wow.
prefrontal cortex is going, I hate this. I'm in so much
Yeah.
pain. Help.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
neurolinguistic programming helps you get those bugs out of the system and rewire your neurology so you can have more of the experiences you want in your life.
We need more of that, Vanessa. Wow, that's fascinating. We
Yeah.
need more of that in the world. It reminds me of one of my favorite sayings. Albert Einstein said, "The thinking that has gotten me this far
Yes.
is not the thinking that I need to get me where I need to be." And I think
Yes.
that so many people need to realize they need to retrain, rethink, recalibrate, reprocess, rebuild information, rebuild knowledge. Things are happening so fast in the world. Every day, new technology, new discoveries, new information. And we are so caught up sometimes just in the past, and it's bringing us to a place where we can't even see 2 feet in front of us. So yeah, fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say a term for you,
Okay.
and I want you to tell us exactly what it means. You're going to be familiar with it. Women are the canary in the coal mines when it comes to corporate America. Fascinating. What does it
Yeah.
mean?
Women are the canary in the coal mines when it comes to corporate
Mm-hmm.
America. What that means is corporate America is not set up for people to thrive.
Uh huh.
And I think the pain of that system is felt disproportionately by women and other minorities and disenfranchised groups. And
Mm-hmm.
so when women are struggling and feeling overwhelmed or exhausted, or the great resignation and the fact that it's affecting even more women,
Mm-hmm.
there it's we kind of wonder, are women the problem, or why are they all leaving the workforce? But they're actually calling attention to what is wrong with the system.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
what I mean by women are the canary in the coal mine. We feel the pain of it first,
Mm-hmm.
because you know we're struggling, like the system is really not set up to support us. And
Yeah.
I would probably, yeah, I would say not just women, but working parents and many other, disenfranchised, all minorities, basically anyone who's not a white male. It's gonna,
Ah,
it's gonna be a canary in the coal mine, right?
I
And
hear you. I hear you.
corporate America.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Um, Companies seem to be shifting and going in the right direction, meaning that there was a time when the main concern was just the profit of the shareholders.
Hmm.
Now, some parts of corporate America and even throughout the world, the new world, is looking at the people, especially those on the production line or those who are responsible for delivering the products, the
Yep.
services.
Yep.
What do you think is responsible for that paradigm shift?
Oh, well, I personally believe that we are part of a kind of a new earth that's being created, and there's a massive shift in consciousness that's happening on the planet right now. And
Right?
a lot of people are familiar with that from Eckhart Tolle's book, A New Earth, and I
Yes.
think that is happening.
Yeah.
And there's been, I mean, so many positive signs. I was on a call with a venture capitalist who has $100 million investment fund, and on
Mm-hmm.
the whiteboard behind him, he had written, "What would love do?" And I
Yeah.
just thought, yes,
Wow.
you
Yeah.
know, and I was on a call yesterday with an amazing woman entrepreneur who's starting a business in the fashion industry, like recycling used clothes, but it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be a co-op model, a
Right.
revenue share. And, there's just these beautiful new business models that are emerging. A lot of my meditations and courses are on this app called Insight Timer.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most
Mm-hmm.
popular meditation app in the world. I highly recommend it. And they do a
Okay.
revenue share with all of their teachers. So
Right.
they decided, you know what, we're not going to keep all the profit. We're going to do like an 80-20 thing. We're going to have the teachers get a lot of the income that comes in from this app.
Mm-hmm.
So I get a
Mm-hmm.
check from them every month. And
Right.
it's beautiful. So I'm so inspired by some of the new business models that are emerging. And I've heard from a lot of CEOs and executives that millennials and younger employees, when they come into organizations, they're asking the
Mm-hmm.
companies, what's your mission? What's your values? How do you give back to the community? And if the company is not tied to some greater mission, they don't want to work there.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
really it's really amazing how it's all
Yeah.
shifting.
That's right. What advice, Vanessa, would you give to young people, particularly young women who are
Mhm.
seeking to make a decision with regards to their career, and they're in between decisions, deciding, should I be a lawyer, should be a doctor, should I go follow my passion? I want to sing, I want to act, I want to dance, I want to do music, I want to be a professional sports person, but what do I do? How do I peg down all variables that
Yeah.
help me make that decision? How do I do it?
Yes. Well, first of all, it's not a one-shot deal. So you don't need
Uh-huh.
to put all this pressure on yourself to figure it out. You get
Right.
to choose many things. You're going to evolve and learn and grow and expand throughout your whole life. So it's
Right.
not like if you choose this thing and you're wrong, you've made
Uh-huh.
a mistake, because every
Right.
time you make a choice, you get feedback. So what
Yeah.
I would recommend is paying attention to how do things feel in your body. And
Mm-hmm.
again, following those energetic breadcrumbs, what makes you feel alive? When are you in a state of flow? Make
Yeah.
choices that help you feel good in your body
Right.
and that help you
Right.
feel energized and alive. And if you
Mm-hmm.
choose something and it doesn't feel good, you can always make a new choice. It's not,
Yeah.
I used to think, like, a lot of people would ask me, how do I figure out my soul's calling, Vanessa? Like, well, how do I figure that out? And what I have learned is we don't have a singular soul calling. It's more that our
Yeah.
soul is calling to us
Yeah.
all the time,
I
every
like
single
that.
day. Your
Yeah.
soul is calling you to laugh more. Your soul is calling you to wear more yellow. Your soul is calling you to hang out with that friend who always makes you feel good. Your soul is calling you all the time in micro moments throughout the day. And so
Mm.
just start to listen to those little soul whispers and pay attention and honor them. And
Yeah.
then you will create a life of greater and greater alignment, and everything will start to feel like it's falling into place. And you'll have that feeling of, I'm in the right place in the right time, doing exactly what I'm meant to be doing. But when you
Yeah.
put all this pressure of like, I got to figure it out, what's my thing?
Uh-huh.
That totally gets you in your head and out of alignment, because you're trying to
Yeah.
find something that's outside of you. But
Right.
really, the thing you want is inside of you, and it's been
Mm-hmm.
there all along.
Yeah. Waiting to be released. I think we have gone full circle and come right back to that beginning where we are talking about the aspect of soul searching and asking questions and really looking at the moments that you're in, how important that is. So, Vanessa, um, I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and it's really a kind of light moment as we
Okay.
reflect on the show. In terms of sandwiches, peanut butter and jelly or ham and cheese?
Oh, peanut butter and jelly every
Ooh,
day of the
that
week.
was quick, but why?
Oh, I just love peanut butter and jelly.
There you
I just
go.
really
Yummy,
love
yummy,
peanut butter and
yummy.
jelly. And it
Mm.
tastes really good. It's soft. I don't know. I've not been as into meat lately. So yeah.
Ah, great. Uh, football or baseball?
Football.
NFL. Yeah. Why?
To be honest, I find baseball really slow.
Oh my. But I thought it was a favorite American pastime. Sunday evenings you go to the park, you take in the ball game, you hope you catch a home run or two, you get the hot dogs and stuff. You mingle.
Yeah, I'm a little more into soccer and basketball, and football
Uh-huh.
would be third. Baseball would be like going on that list.
I hear you. I hear you. Okay, this is cars, right? Is it gonna be Mercedes or BMW?
Oh. Well, my
Mm,
husband has a BMW. We've
there
never
you
owned a
go.
Mercedes. Wait, let me think
Mm-hmm.
about. I mean, honestly, for me, it's a
Yeah.
Subaru.
Yeah, yeah. The love machine. Built by love for.
Or a
Okay, I
Jeep,
hear
a
you.
Jeep, a
I hear
Jeep
you. A
Cherokee. That
Jeep.
was my very first
Yeah.
car.
Okay. Yeah, good. Thanks for sharing with us, Vanessa. Thanks for going along with that. So we have come to the end of our show, and now we're gonna give Vanessa a minute to tell you about her stuff that she does, her professional work, all the information about her books, and how you can get in contact with her. Your turn, Vanessa. Go ahead.
Oh, yay. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. If you want to buy my book, it's called The Soul Solution. If you go to vanessaloder.com, VANESSALOD, D as in David, DER.com /soul, SOUL hyphen solution, you will find access to buy the book. It comes out October 4th, but you can pre-order it right now, immediately. So if anything in here, if you got an energetic breadcrumb listening to me today, that could be a sign that you're meant to get the book. If you didn't, don't worry about it. You can also join our 15-day or 30-day meditation challenges. You just go to vanessaloder.com /15-DAY or 3030-DAY. So that's another great way to get involved. And I also do a lot of global keynote speaking. So if you're looking for a speaker or a leadership development facilitator, the best thing to do there would be to email my assistant, Robin, ROBYN, at vanessaloder.com with more information about the date and the event, and we can go from there. And just know that, I'm really hoping that you have the life of your dreams, and that you find all the tools and resources and teachers that will get you there. And when you set an intention and you have a strong desire, it is really true that when the student's ready, the teacher appears. So when you say yes to calling something new into your life, that book, that teacher, that resource will show up. So I'm just sending you lots of love and light. And if there's anything else I can do to support you, reach out.
Yeah, great, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thanks for sharing, Vanessa. You have brought some life, some love, some light, and some positive vibes, valuable vibes to our people and our show. I kind of tend to raise it up on top, raise the roof. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. So we thank you so much, Vanessa, for sharing this time with us and for the valuable information that you've shared your experiences. We love your energy and your passion, and we pray that you would continue to be successful as you go forward. This is Andy of Andy's Personal Development saying so long now from the breakout room. Folks, just remember to stay in love and stay in health and be safe out there. Remember the key watchwords: health, happiness, and prosperity. Until the next time, this is Andy of Andy's Personal Development saying so long. Godspeed, shalom, namaste. Bye for now. Stick around, Vanessa.